So, when responding to the cult dog hater community, one of the funniest reasons for them wanting to ban dogs from society is their usual argument, or I don't know if I can call it an argument, or I guess if anything, it's more of delusion that dogs have proven useless in current society. When in reality, especially if you do a quick Google search, which, people like canine aversion, doesn't actually do. See, and if you really think about it, especially with, history itself, the earliest dogs that were domesticated by humans was around, I think, close to 14,000 years ago. And in fact, the earliest was found in a burial site in Germany. And since, the earliest form of man, we have domesticated dogs to perform tasks such as, as at that point in time for hunting and gathering. But as time progressed over the years, dogs have been used for a variety of other situations as well as uses. And it's always interesting that people like canine aversion or any of the other cult dog hater community members proceed to ignore the fact that, in current society, dogs are used more than just as the hunting and gathering animals that they have been used for in the past. In fact, doing a quick Google search and just naming a few things that dogs have been used for in the past was basically for police, military, using them as guide dogs, especially for those who are visually impaired, using them as herding animals, which, when it comes down to livestock, especially for individuals or at least farmers who have a mass variety of different livestock, or at least large numbers of livestock, they would probably use animals like dogs as herding animals, which to an extent makes sense, especially if you train them properly. Using them for search and rescue, which, especially when it comes down to their sense of smell and some of their heightened senses, that would kind of be useful in search and rescue. Using dogs as service animals, especially when it comes to emotional support animals and so on, which is, a big one, especially when it comes to health and mental health, though that is something that canine aversion has repeatedly, denounced, especially when it comes down to, if anything, belittling people who use service animals, which, to canine aversion, who strictly attacks people for using a service animal, you can just, go fuck right off. As well as, situations where dogs are used for, still using as hunting animals, as well as sledding, which is, in case canine aversion doesn't understand that little bit, it's when you have a select few or a majority of dogs that pull a sled in frozen areas. So, just so you guys know, there is quite a few things that we use dogs for. And it's not just using them as the companion animal or using them for dog shows, which I think, unironically, Canine Aversion defended in one of her most recent videos, where when it comes down to the usefulness of dogs, it's the only reason why people would find them to be useful. Again, unironically. And then recently in some situations, or at least some areas where people have been using dogs to help, or at least help motivate kids to read. Because to some extent, especially when it comes to kids who may, actually, if anything, may not be socially acclimated to, talking, or at least reading to a crowd, talking to a dog who isn't going to judge them to some degree kind of makes sense if you really think about it. Because again, in some regard, you have the dog who is there, not necessarily a person, but at the same time, it's somebody who, again, won't talk back to you or judge you for how you read and write and so on. So, to some degree, I want to make this video short because clearly Canine Aversion, again, especially with every single one of her videos, she doesn't do her fucking research. And I ask you guys to go check out, if anything, when it comes down to anything I say or Canine Aversion says, do your research. Don't just listen to me and don't listen to Canine Aversion. But, anyhow. So, with that, final thoughts. Yeah, dogs have a use on this planet. And Canine Aversion, with all of her denial, can't denounce that fact. That since the earliest man, dogs have been repeatedly used for a variety of different tasks. And no amount of crying will ever change that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys can, please leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys want to follow us on social media, links are in the description down below, as well as check out our daily content and the weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Rob Novakast signing off. Have a good one, and take care. Peace. 2, 3, 5.